I will now call to order the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Budget Committee. Will the members of the Budget Committee please introduce themselves, and I will start with staff first. Mike?
Thank you. Mike Bork, NCPRD Director.
Callie Gantner, accountant with NCPRD.
And over here to my left.
Luca Dorito, citizen member.
Carol Cookson, citizen member.
Macy Gast, citizen volunteer.
Eric Shawn, citizen member.
And do we have someone online?
Hi, Christina Day.
Thank you very much. I will now open the floor for nominations of chair.
I nominate Luca Dorito as chair.
I second.
Macy, were you the one that nominated?
Yes.
Okay.
I was.
Just a moment. Macy Gass is nominated. Luca Dorito is chair. And the second comes from, and it has been seconded. Thank you very
Eric
much.
Shawn.
Sean, thank you. Do I hear any other nominations from the floor? Seeing none. Tony, please take the poll.
Macy Gast,
Aye.
Carol Cookson,
Here.
Eric Shawn,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Luca Dorito,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Christina Day, Ms. Day,
Yes.
Commissioner Schull,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 8-0. Please be reminded there are 8 voting members present. And before I started, I was reminded from our audio people, if all attendees, including commissioners, would speak directly into their microphones. They're having a little trouble hearing. That would be wonderful. I will now, the vote is in favor of Luca Dorito as been chair. I will now turn the meeting over to you.
Chair Smith, thank you. I will now open the floor for nominations for secretary.
I nominate Macy Guest.
I second.
Macy Gass has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Carol Cookson,
Aye.
Commissioner Schull,
Aye.
Christina Day,
Yes.
Macy Gast,
Aye.
Eric Shawn,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Chair Smith,
Aye.
Chair Dorito.
Aye.
Chair, the result is 9-0.
The vote is 9-0. Macy Gass has been elected secretary. I now pass to Michael Bork, Director of North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District, to present the budget meeting.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to go through a brief slide presentation and then have time for questions afterwards. There we go, the slide coming up. So starting at the very beginning with our major accomplishments for fiscal year 22-23, within our administrative division, we did welcome a new deputy director, Dominic Cortinas. We also were very proud of our year in review, highlighting the work of the district throughout the previous year. And we've also exceeded our milestone of social media growth with 17,500 followers, which is more than a 10% increase. In our programs and community centers, again, we have had a lot of growth and new programs. I'm just going to highlight this first one. We had 800 participants for our first Fiesta en el Parque event, which was held at North Clackamas Park as a Latinx festival for the community. In older adult services, 71,000 Meals on Wheels recipients. within parks, trails, and natural areas. Over 1,000 cubic yards of engineered wood fiber was reapplied to our safety chips in our playgrounds, and over 500 yards of bark mulch in our landscape beds. And finally, in planning and development, developing the draft system development charge methodology, launching the trolley trail safety audit, and the new design, the finalization as we're coming on to the final design for the Concord property play area. So those are just a few highlights of our major accomplishments. There's a lot more that we've done throughout the year, but wanted to make sure that we called those out. Our performance Clackamas standards, we've been on target in all of our measures that we've been tracking. And as our program profiles for 23-24 summary, you can take a look and see how those align with the BCC priorities within each of those areas. And if anybody has any questions, again, I'm going to have time for that at the end. Getting into I was told to hit the button and wait and not push it multiple times. So our next slide is getting into, there we go, into our revenues and expense overall summaries. And so this first set of pie charts that you see here shows the breakout of both our revenues and expenditures. Really, I guess the only thing that I would really highlight is, as you see in revenues, our beginning fund balance is really 52, over half of what we start with each year typically, with everything spread out between fees and charges, other interfund charges, and then obviously our tax collection rate as well, which accounts for about 12.4% of our revenue. Our expenses, as you can see, large ones are on our capital outlay and our transfers in between funds. That's every time we transfer in between one of our 5 funds, that shows up. Moving on to our summary of our revenues and expenses. The main details that I was wanting to point out in this, showing all of our beginning fund balances, and this is all 5 of our funds wrapped up into one report. So this is not the breakout, but overall, our expenses are up 4.7%, and our revenues are also up 4.7%. That's presenting our balanced budget. The revenue or the expenses that we are seeing as the increase mostly are accounted for in personnel increases, whether between PERS and health insurance costs, an increase in our utility expenses for next year, and then our increase in allocations also from the county. But overall, we present a balanced budget of about 4.5%, 4.7% increase in revenue.
Excuse me.
As we start breaking down the summaries by fund, you can see the administrative division is broken down into programs and community centers, older adult services, parks, trails, natural areas, planning and development. These are the areas that we're showing our fund summaries, leading down to the very bottom lines. Our total for the fiscal year 23-24, as we recommend, is $57,528,303. That, again, you see that 4.7% down at the bottom of that page to represent the increase to our budgets on both sides. We haven't really seen a lot of significant issues affecting the budget. We have a lot of projects on the plate right now. and both the things that are getting ready for construction as well as things that are in the design process. But some of our significant policy or financial issues are the rise in material and labor costs that everybody's been experiencing, obviously. That is costing us more money on any of our capital outlay, even our small capital repair and replace projects. All of those are seeing cost increases. I already mentioned the rising utility, which I include fuel, but also food costs for our Meals on Wheels programs are also going up, 14% total increase from last year. And then we also are still continuing to have staffing challenges, whether it's still coming out from post-COVID challenges or whether it's something that's just a new issue, both mainly our seasonal part-time staff. It's difficult to fill all of those, but even in our full-time positions, we're finding recruitment challenging. And so that does obviously delay things as we try and move stuff forward if we've got holes in our staffing. So that is the end of the presentation, and I would like to open it up then for questions. I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you, Michael. Do any members of the committee have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Mike, I'm on page 140, well, pages 142 to 144, 148. I would just want to point out, obviously, all buildings and properties require maintenance, and ideally, they're also contributing to a function of the district. The Wichita school building is a interesting animal of sorts, and it's such that it really isn't a park facility. It's an asset, that was received to the district by virtue of an exchange with North Clackamas School District. However, the occupants in that, we're not receiving any revenue whatsoever, unlike unlike the other school
Clackamas.
on Tolbert. So I'm just kind of concerned that $500,000 might be an underestimate, knowing the age of the building and the wood underneath it. I'm just kind of concerned about that, and also how we actually recover that. As I see it more as a liability property than I see it as generating any income or benefit to the district. Typically we don't get income. But do you have any firm estimates on that project that are in writing?
Yes, we have gotten written estimates, and Kevin Kaysen, our park maintenance and facilities person, is here. I don't remember I don't remember exactly the dollar amount. Callie, is that something you remember?
Yeah, did you have to press this?
No, just got to speak right into it.
Okay, it was about 650,000.
Okay.
Would
So
you repeat that,
650
please?
for
I
a
didn't hear.
full replacement.
So 600, yeah. So I initially heard 300,000 here a few months ago. Now it's 500. Now it's 650. I'm just going to guess it could be higher. I'd like to see the proposal and see if he's got some built-in contingencies. If I was a contractor taking on that project, knowing the age of the building, I would probably have some built-in contingencies. My concern is it'll be higher than 650,000.
Right. And what we are trying to do is get different options, full replacement, repairs on just the damaged parts. So there's been a range of costs. We included as a project that's needed in the capital repair and replace, but due to the size alone, it would be coming back before the body, even just to make that expenditure. But we're not even sure that that's exactly. We just need to have the ability to do that if that's the direction that we're given. So that's why we kept that in this year's capital repair and replace budget. But it's not by any means a foregone surety that we're doing any level of roof repair beyond just basic repair at this point until we have a chance to have that discussion more fully with the board.
Yeah, I think, I'd love to have that discussion with the board of directors, or whether or not, or how we approach
Yeah,
this.
it's a
particular
concern,
issue.
definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I will now open the public hearing.
Commissioner
Oh,
Shaw.
sorry,
I have-
Commissioner Shaw.
This is our little code for wanting to speak. Mr. Bork, on one of the slides, it showed that your reserves are expected to go down by a little over $1 million between 2022 and 2023 and this next fiscal year. That same slide showed that your revenues and your expenses balanced out at, I think, 4.5. Did you need to use that million plus to move to revenues to balance out, or what happened to that $1 million?
Callie, do you want to try and?
It would have been funds moved up to help fund capital projects.
Okay.
Yeah, so in the course of preparing to spend money on Concord and other projects this upcoming year, we just moved money around that kind of shows what you're indicating, but it's not really a loss. It's moving from one fund to the
Okay,
other.
and it doesn't reflect any real stress on your budget that you might have to rely on reserves to sustain this next fiscal year?
Not so far, no.
Okay, good, thank you.
All right, I will now open the public hearing. I'll begin with those present in person, then those registered on Zoom. And please state your name and area of residence, and you will have 3 minutes.
If you are viewing this meeting on Zoom and would like to testify, please use the raise hand feature, and I will call on you in the order received. Mr. Chair, I do not have any hands raised.
All right, thank you, Tony. Seeing no one else wishes to speak, I will now close the public hearing. Do any members of the committee have any further questions or discussions? Okay, hearing no further questions, I will now entertain a motion on the budget.
I move that the North Clackamas Parks and Recreational District Budget Committee approve the fiscal year 23-24 budget in the amount of $528,303 as presented, with appropriations of $44,344,474, and impose the district's maximum permanent tax rate of $0.5382 per thousand of assessed value within the district.
I second that.
It has been moved and second that North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Budget Committee approve the budget for the 2023-2024 fiscal year in the amount of $57,528,303, with appropriations of $44,344,474, and impose the district's maximum permanent tax rate of $0.5382 per $1,000 of assessed value within district boundaries. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, Clerk, would you please call the poll?
Eric Shawn,
Aye.
Commissioner Schull,
Aye.
Macy Gast,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Christina Day,
Yes.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Carol Cookson,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Chair Smith,
Aye.
Chair Dorito.
Aye.
Chair, the result is 10-0.
The vote is 10-0 and the motion passes. Is there any further business before this committee? Hearing none, this committee is adjourned. Thank you.